What's up guys, edrone here, and today we're going to be doing my first range test with my DJI Mavic Air. Stay tuned. So we are down here to one of my favorite beaches, Slaughter Beach, and we've been down here before doing some testing with the Mavic Air, and I really like this spot because, you know, there's not a lot of people down here, so it's kind of isolated, and there's not a lot of buildings and you know, obstacles that are going to create any Wi-Fi interference. So we're going to go down here, and the goal of today is to see exactly how far I can get my DJI Mavic Air away and still have good signal, and we're going to find that out. We're going to send this as far away as we can before the return home initiates, and then we're going to bring it back. Hopefully it's going to come back. And just so you know, I've turned off all the obstacle avoidance for this test. I have two batteries. I put one battery in, I configured everything to turn off all the obstacle avoidance, and then I took that battery out and put in a fresh battery. That way I get the most battery life out of this test. And here's some stats for this flight. So this is a Slaughter Beach UAV forecast. We are good to fly. We have a temperature of 46 degrees Fahrenheit, which is great. We have a northwestern wind, 5-mile-an-hour constant, 8-mile-an-hour gusts. So you can see that the wind is coming from the northwest at a slight angle. Satellites look good, 13 visible, 12.8 locked. So this is going to be a good time to go ahead and get this test done. We're going to be taking the DJI Mavic Air into the wind first, and then we're going to be coming home with the wind pushing us back. So a couple things you guys should always do when you're doing any kind of range test. Make sure you got a full battery. You want as much battery power as possible. Second thing is you want to always make sure that when you first take your drone out, you are going against the wind, so that when you turn around and come home, you need the wind to be at your back to help push you back. You don't want to do the opposite. If you fly with the wind at your back going out, when you turn around to come home, you're going to have all that wind slowing you down, and it could possibly prevent you from getting back safely. You may end up having to do a low voltage landing somewhere, and you definitely don't want to run into that. So I'm going to pop up some specs up here for the DJI, where they actually got their specifications, how they were able to do the tests to get these ranges that they advertise. So as you can see right here, this is out of the DJI Mavic Air manual. How they got these results is they basically took the Mavic Air, they took it up to a height of 400 feet, or right around 120 meters. And we're going to take ours roughly just under that. You want to be as high as possible when you're going to take the craft out as far as possible in order to get the maximum amount of range. And they said that they were able to get right around 4,000 meters range out of the DJI Mavic Air. So that's our goal for today. I'm looking to get 4,000 meters, and as you can see, we're up to 117 meters high, and we are traveling at a speed of 7.9, and like I said, we're going into the wind right now. And another thing, keep in mind when you're doing any kind of range testing, this is not in sport mode, okay? So if you go into sport mode, the downfall of sport mode is you're going to burn up more battery power, okay? When DJI did these range tests, they did not have the craft in sport mode. It depletes the battery so quick that you're actually better off to leave it not in sport mode to do any kind of range testing. Now what you do want to do is turn off all your obstacle avoidance. If you turn off all the obstacle avoidance in the Mavic Air, it does speed up the craft a little bit more than when you do have the obstacle avoidance turned on. All the obstacle avoidance turned on, it will slow down the craft more than when it's turned off. So that's things to keep in mind when you're doing any kind of range testing. And as you can see, I have the beach right off to my left side, so that if something does go wrong, hopefully I can get the craft back over to land and land it on the land versus landing it in water. This is my first range test with this craft, so I wanted to make sure that I definitely had some fail-safes set in place in case I did run into any kind of trouble. But we are going to be pretty much directly over water. I am going to be going over land, as you can see straight ahead. There is kind of like a turn there with the land peninsula, and we're just going to try to keep it as straight as possible, and we're keeping the transmitter pointed directly at the craft. I have my antennas bent at like a 45-degree angle, and I'm just facing it directly at the craft. And as you can see, I am running this in 2.4 gigahertz. Now I'm going to do this test again, but I'm going to try it in 5.8 gigahertz. Not in this video, but in a separate video, I'm going to do it in 5.8 gigahertz and see if I get any different results, same results, or whatever. I'm definitely curious as to see if I get the same results. But now you can see we are up to 17, almost 1,800 meters away. We are 80% battery, so everything is looking good. We got quite a bit of wind, definitely up there. We're right around just under 400 feet, and there is definitely some wind up there. You can see it kind of blowing it around. And what I'm doing is, as I'm going out, I'm actually I'm yawing the craft left and right just to see if there's any kind of lag or delay in my input. And as of right now, there's no lag and there's no delay in my inputs with the sticks. So that's a good thing. Because if we have lag, that means that our signal is getting worse and worse. So the more lag we have, the worse our signal is. Right now you can see I still have 3 bars of signal, and everything is going great right now. I'm just full stick forward, and we are approaching 2,225 meters, and we are still going. Signal looks great. Just keep this in mind, guys. Like I said, you know, this isn't any kind of a scientific test, but this is a very low interference area. There is not a lot of Wi-Fi or towers or any kind of interference. This is a great area to do a range test, and we have water below us as well. So I am pretty confident that we can definitely hit 4,000 meters, you know, in this area. Now, if you're in an urban area or any kind of area that has a lot of trees and Wi-Fi interference, obviously you're not going to be able to get as far. But this is a perfect wide open area, and that's what DJI claims also in their manual. They claim that this was a low, if no interference area they tested, you know, with the craft being 400 feet high and not in sport mode, and that's how they were able to get the craft to go the advertised 4,000 meters, which is just under 2.5 miles. All right, guys, we are getting close to 2,800 meters, and signal still looks great. There's no lag yet. When I turn the stick, it's turning. It's very responsive. There's no lag whatsoever, so that's good. And what a beautiful view out here. This is just gorgeous out here. You have the bay right here, and you also have the beach line. And this over here, this area kind of scares me over here. We are now 3,000 meters away, guys, and 70% battery life. This spot over here kind of worries me, because if I do have to emergency land the craft, it's going to be incredibly hard to retrieve the craft out here. This is kind of like a no man's land. There's not too much out here other than some sandbars and a little bit of beach, but it is a lot of water and a lot of wetlands. So cross your fingers, and we're going to hope that we're going to do okay. We are approaching 3,300 meters, and there we are, 3,300 meters distance. Whoo, boy, we are still having good signal and no lag at all, surprisingly. I've got 7 satellites right now. Not bad. But as you can see, not having much lag on the yaw. We're at 66% battery. Oh, we're getting close, guys. We are getting close. We want to hit 4,000 meters. That's my goal. That's just under 2.5 miles without any kind of mods or boosters. That is amazing for this out of the box. That would be amazing if we can hit 4,000 meters. But it's getting close to the return to home. So once it hits return to home, depending on how close we are to the 4,000, 3,700, depending how close we are to the 4,000, I may cancel the return to home if I think I can hit the 4,000 and safely get the craft back. Okay, 3,800. We're approaching 3,900 meters, guys. It's getting close to return to home. It's getting ready. Oh gosh, we're so close. We're so close. 3,900. It's gonna tell us that it has to turn around. We're gonna cancel. We're gonna cancel, and we're gonna keep going, guys. 4,000 meters. Here we go. We're almost there. Here we go, guys. 4,000 meters. Okay, we need to return to home right now. Right now. When it tells you to return to home, you need to return home right away because it's basically saying, hey, I've only got enough battery power to come back home. Now, this is where it's going to be good, okay? Because now that we are turning around, wow, you can see a little bit of a gimbal, drunken gimbal there. The gimbal is kind of out of whack here. Hopefully that's just the wind. Because the wind is blowing from the west, and it is coming from the northwest. So now the wind is actually coming at the back of the craft. So it's actually going to push us home. But there we go, guys. You saw it for yourself. We hit 4,000 meters with the Mavic Air. No signal loss whatsoever. I've not had one signal loss yet. And this is 2.4 gigahertz. Not had one signal loss. This is awesome. Something else we can also do to help the Mavic Air make her way back home to us is we're going to lower the altitude a little bit because the wind is obviously going to be a little bit more the higher you go. So by lowering the altitude, that's going to help a little bit with the wind. Even though the wind's at our back, we are still getting a westerly wind also. So that's kind of blowing the craft, to the side a little bit. But wow, man, that's awesome, guys. 4,000 meters. That's almost 2.5 miles range with the DJI Mavic Air out of the box, guys. There is no mods on this. There is no mods, okay? 2.5 miles with no mods out of the box. We've got a ways to go back, guys, as you can see there. We've got a ways to go back. But our battery power is right at 51%. I'm a little nervous. I'm really hoping that it does not land before it gets back to us, being as we canceled the return home and went ahead and pushed it out to 4,000. But I think we'll be okay, like I said, because we have the wind at our back on the way home. And also, it wasn't really too long after the return to home initiated and we canceled that I went ahead and returned to home. It wasn't that much time. But do that at your own risk, guys. When the craft tells you you only have enough battery power to make it home, you're better off to just go ahead and turn it around right then and there, unless you're really confident that everything is going to work in your favor on the way back, mainly the wind. So if you have any kind of wind and the wind's at your back, you can make that call. But wow, so we're 90 meters high, 47% battery, and we are still over 2,500 meters away. And she is coming home at 8 meters per second. So obviously coming home a little bit faster than it went out. And that's going to help us with that wind at our back. But I've not lost signal once, guys. Not once have I lost signal. Everything has been crystal clear, no lag, no breakup. So a wonderful test for the DJI Mavic Air. And like I said, we're out here wide open, minimal Wi-Fi interference, minimal, tower, any kind of towers out here, any kind of interference. So really happy with this. Glad it's coming home. And we still have 2,400 meters, and we are at 42% battery. And the signal hasn't, I don't think it's even gotten under 3 bars, even when we were 4,000 meters out. We still had the 3 bars. So that's awesome. I am really impressed at this point that the DJI Mavic Air out of the box can travel 4,000 meters away and still have signal. Still have video, still have complete control. That's awesome. So the advertised specifications are working, for me anyway. And this is obviously the newest firmware. Just in case you guys wanted to know, this is the newest firmware for the controller and for the Mavic Air. You can see we still have a little ways to go. 39% battery, and we are still 2,000 meters away, 90 meters high. We can see out here the ocean in the bay is just beautiful. It's just a beautiful day. The sun's come out, and the wind's not that bad. Like I said, 5 mile an hour constants. I think we got like 15 mile an hour gusts here and there. Not too bad, but whew, just need you to come back to me. Come back to me. We're at 36% and 1,700 meters distance away, 90 meters high, traveling 8 meters per second. Gonna keep on trucking, guys. This is return to home. It's completely returning to home by itself. I'm not touching the stick. It's completely coming home on its own. 35% and still over 1,000 meters away. Whew, yeah. So there we are there, and there she is there. So we're at 34%. I think we're going to be fine. Like I said, the wind is blowing us towards home, so that's good. We're not fighting the wind on the way back. That's a big help. Because if you guys have ever done range tests and you've returned to home and the craft's fighting the wind on the way back, you can deplete the battery rather quickly. So just keep that in mind. You don't want anybody to attempt this test and end up losing their drone. That is never a good thing. Make sure you got full battery when you go out. Make sure that you start out going into the wind, and then when you return home, you have the wind against your back, blowing you back home. Okay, guys, we are approaching 1,100 meters. We are 29% battery. We are getting close here, coming close. Coming close. So, I'm going to bring her down a little bit more. That will help with the wind as well. Because we do, even though the wind's at our back, it is a northwesterly wind. So it still is blowing the craft to the side a little bit. So if we lower the craft altitude, that will help a little bit with the wind. Because it's obviously, the higher you go, the more wind velocity you're going to get. 27% battery. We are 850 meters. And we are 64 meters high. So getting close, guys. Getting close. 26%. Glad we turned around when we did. You don't want to ever push the limits and keep going and end up shortchanging yourself and the craft not making it back to you. That's never a good thing. Should be able to see ourselves here soon, I would imagine. But here we go, guys. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up another video with the 4K footage of this. I'm going to add some really cool music, and we'll upload that as a separate video. But I figured you guys would probably rather see the telemetry, my battery life, and the signal. So I figured I would just leave that screen up for you, and obviously you can see my my head cam here. Okay, guys, 21%, just under 300 meters, and I can see myself down there on the ground. We are going to be a-okay. We're going to be a-okay. At this point, we are good. If anything were to happen, we can definitely land it right here on the beach. So, whew, we made it back, guys. We made it back. A successful range test. And I am very happy with these results. 4,000 meters without a booster or any kind of modification is wonderful. I was able to get 4,000 meters with my Phantom 3 Standard. And, that had a Wi-Fi booster on it. So, and I got a lot of lag breakup with the Phantom 3 Standard. This one had, like, no lag. No lag at all. I didn't even lose video signal, not once. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and land. Look how close we are to low voltage landing. We got about a minute, maybe two. And I think that is really due to the fact that we had the wind pushing us home versus fighting the wind. If we were fighting the wind on the way home, we may have not made it back. We may have fell short. Because when that craft is fighting the wind, it kills the battery that much faster. But here we go, guys. We are landing. We are at 15%. And we're going to go ahead and land the craft. Yes. So a successful test of the DJI Mavic Air. And there we go, guys. There's our low battery warning. Boom, 14%. And we are down. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. We're going to be doing even more testing with the DJI Mavic Air. But I'm just thankful that it came back to me safe and sound, and we're able to continue testing the DJI Mavic Air. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Until next time, edrone out. Yeah.